Hey, how you doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you straight from the Wild Wild West. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. December 25th, 2016. This is my year-end video on what's in my EDC drawer. My self-defense utility EDC drawer. Everyday carry drawer. These are the ones I carried for the past year. And these are the ones that I no longer have any Oz 8s that I carry, though I am thinking about getting the new Oz 8 Ti-Lite, and I do want to get the BD1, CTS-BD1 Voyager XL with the 5.5 inch blade, Tonto blade, but I didn't manage to get those this year, so they'll be part of the 2017 video. But these are the ones I bought for this year, and I carried all year. And so this is my year-end roundup on them, and tell you what I think of them. You can see here that I got the Tal-War XL, my favorite big knife. Tal-War, the regular large Tal-War, large AK-47. This is the black Talon 2, should I say. This is a Tiger Claw. Really like the Tiger Claw. Holdout 1 XL, Holdout 2, and Holdout 3. These two right here I carry a lot because I usually like to carry two knives. I carry one in my front pocket, which will usually be one of these wavers, and I'll carry one in my either my vest pocket or my jacket pocket when I'm riding my bike, just as a backup or whatever. And these, lots of times, the smaller ones, I'll put in my backpack. So sometimes I carry 3. Depends on how I'm dressed and what I'm wearing. This is a mini Lawman. This is my favorite little tiny knife. I just love the way, for a small knife, because I usually don't like small knives because they don't fit in my hand right. But this one I really like, and I also like the Holdout. That's one of my other favorites. This one's good for opening letters and doing all your everyday cutting task. This is the Lawman. I love Lawman. I love the Lawman. It's like it's like the production model of the 8010, Andrew Demko's 8010, the affordable version of it. And one of my new favorites, the Counterpoint XL. I don't really care for the regular Counterpoint that much. I have a couple of them that are in Oz 8. I didn't get any in BD1 because I don't know, I just for stilettos, I like stilettos big. I don't like stiletto or defense knives to be like little tiny knives. Or I shouldn't say little tiny knives, but like, I think a good defense knife should be like 5 inches or above for the blade size. That's just my personal preference, because I believe, like, you know, like then Thompson talks about reach and stuff like that. I do believe in that. I do believe that it's better to have a little bit more reach if you can. That's why they used to make swords. You know what I mean? Because you had more reach. Because if you get in a fight with somebody with a knife, you don't want to be right up close to them unless they don't have a knife and you're sneaking in something on them. Then a small knife will work. You know, but if you're not doing that, if you're only using it for self-defense, then most likely you're not sneaking up on them and trying to assassinate them or, you know, stab them in the back or something when they're not looking. You know what I mean? In that case, I think a longer blade is better, because it just gives you more reach, because the whole goal to me is not to get cut by the other person, right? Anyway, let's move on. And this is the Ti-Lite 6. I swear, you know, I don't have any other, this is my only knife that's not a triad. I just like it because it's a stiletto. And that's what keeps me liking these, is that I just like, I've always liked stilettos ever since I was a little kid. My first pocket knife was a stiletto. I got in a Field and Stream magazine in the 60s, and it was made in Japan. And after that, I was into Italian stilettos. I've owned a lot of Italian stilettos and switchblades over my life. I just always liked this style of knife. You know, not necessarily that it's the best fighting style or anything like that. It's just the knife that I'm attracted to. I just like stilettos. It just, to me, they're old school. But anyway, let's move on. Let's check them out. This one right here these are my favorite big knives. The blade is a full flat ground blade, CTS-XHP. It's got a satin polish on it. This one's not modified at all. It's a straight factory knife. This way it came from the factory. Came from the factory perfect. Not always when you get cold steel knives, they're not always perfect. Sometimes they need to be touched up a little bit or whatever. That's been my experience anyway, especially in like the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know what it is. It's like every once in a while you get an effective knife, and I've even sent back a few to cold steel to get them replaced because they were too defective to even repair. But when you get a good one, they're like really good, and this is a good one. All these are good ones actually, except for this. The counterpoint one was the only one I received that wasn't perfect. But it was only slightly off, and I was able to repair what I didn't like about it. The blade was perfectly straight and all that. It's just I didn't like the way how high the blade sat in the handle. This has got aluminum backspacer, 6061 aluminum backspacer. All these have aluminum backspacers except for the Ti-Lite, so I'll stop saying that. All these have aluminum backspacers except for the Ti-Lite. Ti-Lite has a G10 backspacer. All these have stainless steel lock bars except for the Ti-Lite because it's a liner lock and it has a stainless steel torsion bar or liner lock. American G10. All these American G10 except for the counterpoint one. It has Grivix. No liners. This one has Andrew Dimko thumb plate. It's a 4mm stock blade. Even though it doesn't look like it, this is 4mm. And then this is just, I don't know the purpose of the swedge. I think it's for looks. I've heard people say it makes the blade stronger because it turns it into like an I-beam or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like it. And because the blade has the profile that it has, it really cuts through things really good, like meat and stuff like that. If you need to use it for a hunting knife or something like that, this is a good choice. The thing I really like about the Talwar is the grip. The reverse grip is the most comfortable reverse grip out of all the cold steel knives to me. And that gives you more extension. To me, all the 5-inch to 6-inch blade knives aren't utility knives for me. They're self-defense knives. They're the knives I would carry for self-defense purpose. And this one gives you the most reach comfortably, and it makes you feel like you've got a nice firm grip. So if you want a knife that has the most reach in this size package, I would pick a Talwar. Excellent knife. They come razor sharp. This one could be opened out of your pocket. No, that's not my favorite way to open knives. I like to just take them out of my pocket, hold my hand, and if I need to use them, then I open them. But this has the ability to be opened straight out your pocket. The Andrew Dimko Wave feature snags on the corner of your pocket when you're pulling out, and you push down and you pull out at the same time, and it'll fly open. It has a thicker American G10 scales, which is what I tend to like better for a self-defense knife because it gives you a nice firm feeling grip. To me, for a self-defense knife, the grip is an extremely important factor. Really like these. This is a smaller version of the same knife. This one to me is like an EDC knife. It could be a self-defense knife too. The blade is about 3 3/4 inches long. They list it as a 4-inch, but it's not a 4-inch blade. It's about a 1/4 inch short of a 4-inch. And I like it because it's a good utility knife, and I use this one for cutting things and whatever I need to use it for. This is a self-defense knife too. It's just a smaller version of it. But to me, this is a multi-purpose knife. It's good for everything. It's good as a hunting knife. It's good fishing, for filleting sardines or whatever, for cut bait. It's good for everything. Whatever you need to use it for, this is a good all-around knife. I think it's one of the better all-around knives. The blade, you know, the way the full flat ground blade, it really cuts through meat and stuff like that really good, or game if you need to dress game. Excellent blade. I've been carrying these for a long time. The Towel Wars I've been carrying since they were in Oz 8. And I had these also in Oz 8, but then I switched over to XHP when they came out with the XHP, the better steel. And to tell you the truth, you know, it does hold the edge better than X8 and better than Oz 8, but I don't know if it's, you know, the Oz 8 was fine too, though. The Oz 8 ones are perfectly fine too. You know, if they do get dull, they're super easy to resharpen. And they sharpen back to razor sharpness. It's not like a real hard steel where it's hard to get it back to razor sharpness. The Oz 8 is probably a better knife for field use. If you're out in the field maybe, and you're going to have to be able to resharpen your knife out in the field, the Oz 8 or BD1 might be better for that. The CTS-XHP resharpens nicely too, but it's a little bit harder to resharpen than Oz 8 or BD1. I'm just keeping it 100. But when you do get it sharp, it stays sharper longer. So, you know, that's just the drawbacks of having, you know, harder steel or better steel. I don't know if I should say better steel, just a harder steel, I guess. Next one in my drawer is the AK-47. I like to carry this one when I'm wearing tucked in shirts in my pants or whatever. I like to carry the black blades just because they don't stand out. All the ones with the polished clips, those are the ones I wear when I'm wearing a shirt over my pants and you can't see my pocket anyway. But if my pocket is exposed, I like to carry a dark blade because people don't notice it as much. And I think that's important, you know, for concealed carry or everyday carry, you know, because not everybody needs to be seeing your knife, or because a lot of people get scared when they see your knife or whatever. So I think it's better to keep things hidden, even if they're legal. I think it's just better to keep it hidden. That's just my personal opinion. You can do what you want to do, but that's what I do. This one has a 3.5 inch blade. It's a hollow ground blade. It's a very tough blade. And this has 3.5 millimeter, but it's actually thicker than that. It's closer like to 3.8 or something. Almost 4 millimeter thick. It's a nice blade. You can carry it in your pocket and you won't even know it's there. It just weighs a little bit over 5 ounces. Very sturdy knife. And this is aluminum also. The backspacer is, when they first came out with these, this was plastic. This is an aluminum backspacer. So it's tough, and it's also like, you know, a blunt weapon backspacer, so you can use it as a aid, a less than lethal aid if you had to use it in combat or to break a window or something like that. CTS-XHP, and these have the diamond-like coating, DLC coating. It's super tough. The DLC coating is super tough. It's not like the Teflon. This is hard to wear off your blade. The Black Talon. This is one of my favorite knives. I love this knife. This is a nice knife to fondle. Very nice knife. It's very light in your hand. It's very thin. 3.5 millimeters thick. This one I polished. It's been all polished, and inside the scales have been polished because it's one of my nice knives I like to carry all the time, or just when I'm sitting around I like to fondle it. It's a fun knife to play with. It's super razor sharp though, so if you don't know what you're doing, don't play with it because it will cut you. It'll bite you in a second. This one's got the serrated CTS-XHP blade with the thumb disc, so it can be pocket snagged out your pocket too. And it's got this little cutout right here, makes it easy to snag out your pocket. This is probably the easiest one with this kind of type of curved blade or whatever you want to call it. Talon blade, or I don't know what you actually call them. It's actually easier to open at your pocket than the tiger claw. This is a little bit over 4 inches. It's about 4 1/4 inches long. They have it listed as 4 inches, but it's actually a little bit longer than 4 inches. It's actually a pretty long knife. It's super thin and super light, so it fits in your pocket and you carry it all day and you don't even think about it. For me, this is just a self-defense knife. I don't use this for any kind of utility purposes. This one when I carry a smaller self-defense knife, and if I don't want to carry a big 5-inch blade, or 5.5-inch blade rather, or 6-inch blade, I'll carry something like this. I don't use this for utility at all. It's never cut anything except for some paper to see how sharp it was. Black Talon 2. It's one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is a tiger claw for if I'm in an area where it has a blade length restriction or whatever and I still want to carry a self-defense knife. This one is, they have it listed as 3 inches, but it's really almost 3.5 inches. You need to be aware of that because you might be in some place like the Bay Area in San Francisco, California. They have a 3-inch blade limit. But most places in California that do have blade limits, it's usually a 4-inch blade limit. And those are only in the metropolitan areas like the big cities. But anywhere else there isn't any blade limit. And that's why I'll carry one of the bigger ones. That's the reason why I have different sizes. Because we have different laws in California and I try to follow the laws. I don't want to get caught with something in my pocket and get in trouble for it. I got caught with a Benchmade balisong one time, and luckily the cop was really cool because he's a motorcycle cop and he confiscated it. I didn't argue about it or whatever because I knew it was against the law. But that's why I stopped doing that. Excellent knife. I love these. This one's been polished too. I don't know if you can tell. But the back, I'd like to polish the spine and the top of the blade, the spine of the blade. And I buff out the blade, but I don't sand the blade because I don't want to change the way it looks. I just want it to be a little bit shinier, and when you polish it, it doesn't rust and stuff like that. It helps block rust out. Closes the pores of the steel. Okay, next up we got the big holdout. This knife gets used a lot. This is like my third big holdout. I have 2 others in XHP. One's serrated and one's a plain edge. I use these all the time for cutting meat. I have a set of butcher knives and stuff like that, but these actually work better. The Oz 8 one works great too. And it works about the same. It's just the way the blade is shaped and the flat grind of the blade. And it's only 3.8 millimeters thick. So it pretty much glides through meat. I use it today to cut up the prime rib that we had. So I can make nice, beautiful slices. Cuts nice and clean through the meat. Works great on fish too, for filleting fish. It's one of my favorites. It has a 6061 back spacer, stainless steel, lock bar, CTS-XHP blade, full flat ground, no liners, American G10 handle scales, triad lock. 6-inch blade. It's one of my favorites. I know this would make a great self-defense knife, but that's not what I really use it for. I use it for other purposes. I originally bought it to be a self-defense knife, but I found out I like using it for other things. Because I always use it for, like I said, meat processing. It's great for that. Holdout 2. This is a backup blade for me. I like to carry it in my pockets all the time, my jacket pocket. It's a great knife. This one has the thin handle scales. The big holdout has the thick scales. This one has the thin handle scales, the new thin ones. Last year's model had thick scales with the Oz 8 and the thick scales. I like this one though, because for what I use it for, it works great because it sits even a little bit more concealed in my pocket. And I can't tell the difference in strength or whatever, you know. Works just fine. Great blade. Opens up letters and things perfectly. Good knife. Now, one of my favorite little ones. This is my third one of these. I have one an Oz 8 with plain edge. All the holdouts I have on plain edge and serrated edge and Oz 8. But for the CTS-XHP, I just got the plain edge because I find out that I use these as like utility knives. At first, like I said, I was thinking they were going to be like self-defense knives for me. You know, any knife can be a self-defense knife. But I use these. I like using these for utility knives because the blade works so good for that. One of my favorite little knives. This is a 3-inch blade. So this is legal in San Francisco. Great blade. Another one of my favorite little ones of all time is the Mini Lawman. I love this one because of the grip. See how where the grip is? Bam! It's like in your hand, it ain't going nowhere. Your hand's not gonna slide nowhere. It's like there. And if I had to use one for a self-defense knife, a little knife for a self-defense knife, I think this would be one of my first choices. I like to grip that, and so you can move back to the back grip, keep your hand even further away from the blade, and you got like a really good grip. This one has a hollow grind as opposed to flat grind. 3mm thick blade. All the small ones usually for cold steel have 3mm blades. CTS-XHP with the DLC coating. This is a great choice. Aluminum backspacer. Stainless steel lock bar. American G10 handle scales and American CTS-XHP steel. Excellent little choice. I've resharpened this one a lot. This one resharpens very well. The smaller ones, I don't know what it is. They seem like they resharpen easier than the bigger ones. This is a large Lawman. 3.5-inch blade. It's one of my favorites too. I have several Lawmen, but they're all in Oz 8. This is my only one I have in CTS-XHP that's this size. And I carry this a lot. It's like a jacket. It's like I like to put in my leather jacket pocket when I carry it. And also it makes a nice knife too if you're going somewhere where, say, they have a blade limit, or you're wearing a shirt that's tucked inside your pants, because it's not very scary looking. It's more civilized looking, or should I say, more. It would appeal more to, you know, the sheeple wouldn't be so scared of it. It's more like a just regular utility knife. But this can make a great self-defense knife too. It has great grip also. It's either good in the choked up grip or the grip where you hold the back of the handle. In either forward or reverse grip. Blade is super sharp. The thumb stud is longer on one side, so with like most of the small knives, they usually have short on one side, long on the other side, but it's also reversible, so it's great for lefties also. Hollow ground blade. Spear point, spear tip type blade. It's pretty much like a reproduction of Andrew Demko's AD10, only made affordable. Great knife. Highly recommend it. Next we got the cold steel Ti-Lite. The new Ti-Lite 6 with the American G10 handle. Stainless steel liner lock. That's folded over. That's the only liner. That's the only piece of stainless steel in the handle. The old one has stainless steel on both sides. I like this one better. It only weighs, I think it was 6.8 ounces when I weighed it. So it's like the lightest choice. This and the holdout, the XL holdout, are the two lightest ones. I like to carry this one every once in a while when I want to carry a big knife in my front pocket because it doesn't weigh that much. It doesn't pull my pants down. I got a flat butt. Big heavy knives make my pants always fall down, and I'm always pulling up my pants. Got the CTS-XHP, I don't know if I already said that, and it has the DLC coating. I really like this one. To me, this is the best stiletto-style knife or stiletto-type knife, folding stiletto-type knife that there's made on the planet. And I have a bunch of them. Most of them from Italy. I think this is the best. 4mm thick blade, bayonet style blade. It's super fast. This one's really pretty much just set up for right-handed people. It can be, you know, I never have taken out the thumb stud to see if it works on the other side, but it looks like it can be. I'm primarily a right-handed person, so it works fine for me. But as you see though, the liner lock really is set up for a right-handed person. It's perfectly made, centered perfectly. These are fairly expensive. These aren't cheap. I got two of them, one to collect and one to use. This is my user. 6-inch blade. And this is the newest edition out of all these this year. I just bought this one, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I really like it. I have this in Oz 8 and I never really carried. I made videos on it before. And I didn't really care because I didn't think it was that fast. It was kind of slow. And to unlock it was hard. And so I never really I just didn't get into it. And I already had all these other kind with the American G10 handle scales. Those tend to be my favorite ones. But this one, now, I don't know if you can see the texturing on the grip. They actually put texturing on the handle scales now. This is CTS BD1 version. My Oz 8 version has like smooth handle scales. And it felt slippery in my hand. It didn't feel that great. This one feels almost like having G10, like a G10 knife. Or like the Voyagers. I don't know if you're familiar with the Voyagers. The Voyagers have a nice grip to them. Sure, it's going to be a little bit rough around your pockets or whatever, but if you're a person like me that cares about having good grip, that's okay. This one's been totally polished. When I first got it, the blade sat like this, where the tip was almost exposed, and I didn't like that. So what I did is I modified the sharpening choil and made it a little bit deeper, just a touch deeper. And then I took the lock bar spring and the side that rubs against the actual lock bar, I sanded it down until the blade wouldn't hit the lock bar spring no more. I had plenty of space between the lock bar spring and the blade. And when I did that, it made it easy to close. I didn't bend it or anything. I just sanded it down. And now I love the way it works. And it's actually one of my favorite big knives. This one I probably carry more than any of my other big knives. I totally polished the lock bar and the 6061 aluminum backspacer. This one has a 6061 aluminum backspacer. It's not a grivery backspacer like the other grivery handled cold steel knives. They all have like grivery backspacers. This one has an aluminum backspacer. Heat treated aluminum backspacer. It has aluminum liners, and I polished those out completely. And I polished out the bronze phosphorus washers in it. And the blade has been completely polished like I like to polish them, where I don't sand them down, I just polish them to close the pores in the blade. Helps prevent it from rusting. Even though it's stainless steel, sometimes these will still get rust on them. I haven't had that problem with BD1. This is my first BD1 knife though, so I don't have too much experience with BD1. But I have used this knife and I've had to resharpen it, and it resharpened just like Oz 8. It was like really easy to resharpen. Yeah, I was sort of shocked about that. I thought it was going to be harder. But it resharpened really nicely to a razor sharpness. It's easy to resharpen. So I'm starting to like BD1. BD1 is actually easier to resharpen than the CTS-XHP blade. So if that's important to you to be able to sharpen back to razor sharpness, don't knock off these BD1 blades. These BD1s, even though they're not as expensive as the CTS-XHP, this is American steel. It's super easy to resharpen, just like Oz 8. If you like the way Oz 8 resharpened, then you'll like the way this resharpens. I would highly recommend it. And to me, this is a great knife for self-defense, because I don't know, I've had a couple knives confiscated off of me before. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I'm a black guy that rides a Harley, so every once in a while the cops want to check me out. And I've had a couple knives taken from me. And a knife is not worth fighting over or causing a big commotion over, because it may end up getting you into more trouble than you need to be in. Just let the cops have the knife, you can go get another one. That's the way I look at it. And this was $67 at Midway USA. And the blade is perfectly straight. I mean, everything about the knife is great. It's just I didn't like the way it was sitting in the handle. And so I wanted to lower the blade down into the handle. And you can see how it sits now. That's the way I like it to sit. I like the tip not to be near being exposed. I like it to be inside the handle. So then it doesn't snag on your clothes or anything else like that. There's nothing it'll snag on. And I think that's the way they should have made it from the factory from the get-go. But they didn't. And it opens super easy. It's a great blade. Comes out with authority. I don't know if you can see that. Or you can open the thumb stud way, really easy. It's a very easy to deploy blade, and it has ambidextrous thumb studs, so you don't have to switch them around. It's perfect right out the factory. And the blade, the pocket clip is ambidextrous too. You can put it on either side. You don't have to, switch your pocket clips around. But I really like this blade. If this gets confiscated, it's not a big loss. I can just go get another one. Well, I actually do have another one, but it's not a BD1 one, but I like this one. I like the new handle scales better. So my advice is, if you like, big knives, you like to carry a big knife, I'd highly recommend this one. This blade is super heavy duty. It's 4 millimeters thick, and if you can see it, it's thick pretty much all the way to the tip. It's thick all the way to the swedge, and then it's still thick to the tip. This one's been polished. Now the back spacer and the lock bar and the spine of the blade have been sanded all the way to about 2500 grit sandpaper by hand. And then it's been polished. That's the reason why it has a mirror finish on it. And the reason why I did that is because I really like this blade, and I just want to make it look a little bit fancier, because I like fancy stilettos. Stiletto, to me, is supposed to be pretty. Even though this is not super pretty, because it's got the tactical black handle. and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I still wanted to snazz it up a little bit. That's just me. It's just my style. And this is one I do, like I said, if I'm gonna carry a big knife, this is probably usually what I have in my pocket. I really like it. Well, that's it for 2016. We're in December 2016. Hope you all having a great Christmas. That's about it. Next will be 2017 coming up. I haven't seen any new knife offerings for 2017, so I haven't seen anything I really want. I didn't get the Andrew Demko US made one, the 4 Max. I decided it was too heavy for the size of blade. You know, it weighs like 10 ounces for a 4-inch blade and a 6-inch handle. Even though it looks like it's built like a tank, it looks like a great knife and all that kind of stuff, it just didn't look like something I was going to carry. You know, sure I can get to be a collector or whatever, but I like to get knives that I would also like to carry. And if I really like it when I get it, lots of times, and I do carry it, lots of times I'll get another one that I'll get one to collect and one to carry. And the reason why I do that, in case I lose it or it gets confiscated, I have another one if they stop making them. Because if they stop making something that turns out to be a great knife, then usually they'll go up in price for the ones that still are out there. That's just my experience with cold steel knives. They're cheap while they're still making them, but once they stop making them, that's when they get expensive. All right, that's it for 2016. I hope you enjoyed. These are my everyday carry knives. These are the ones I carried for last year, and I'll probably be carrying these next year because I haven't seen anything new come out that I want. And so I probably won't get too much. If there is any different ones, it won't be too much different, I'm sure. I really like all these. I really love the CTS-XHP steel. It is tougher than the Oz 8. And I really like the BD1. BD1 to me, though, is pretty close to Oz 8. It may be a little bit tougher, I don't know. I'm not an expert on figuring out what's tougher and what's not tougher. I like the Oz 8 too, though. The Oz 8 is a great steel too, but it doesn't hold the edge as well as the CTS-XHP. And that's my experience. And if the cutting edge is really important to you, it's not really important for a self-defense knife, I don't think. You know, for a big self-defense knife, I think Oz 8 works just fine. But for a utility knife that you're going to use for everyday cutting chores, unless you know how to resharpen your knife, the Oz 8 can be a pain in the butt because you have to resharpen it a lot. But that's about it. Peace out. 2016. It's almost over. Out of here.